I'm an average dude! At the beginning, especially while stuff like that's stinging. All right, welcome to an Average Dudes. Actually, only one of the average dudes today because Jan's out sick. But there was so much going on this week. I was like, hey, can we grab Eddie and throw him on the show? And Jan's like, yeah, go for it. He actually sent me a really funny meme, but then
Jan did.
Then he changed his mind. So glad we got Eddie here, Eddie Morrow. You would have seen him on the podcast a few times, but technical difficulties.
Happens.
The lost tapes, as some people would say.
The best.
But there was a lot that went on this sports week. So really why we wanted to pull you and get this week covered. And then next week, me and Jan back to our old ways. So we're not even calling this episode 9. I didn't want to do all. I feel like
this is an emergency podcast.
I'm missing my other half. This is an emergency podcast, okay? So we're dropping this one for you. NFL playoffs around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Going to talk a little bit about that national championship game on Monday. Talk a little about Trevor Lawrence. Harden got traded to Brooklyn. I don't know if you saw it. Yeah, you're probably under a rock and didn't see it.
Yeah.
You'd have to be under a rock to not see that.
I was just working hard. I just didn't.
Working hard or hardly working.
One of the two.
And then just one little fun question, but I'm also going to ask Jan that next week, and then we'll close it up. So it shouldn't be too long of an episode, but did want to get some stuff covered.
Some important things got to cover.
NFL playoffs.
Go Pack Go.
We get to Go Pack Go. They're coming up finally this week because they had a bye. We could jump right into this week's matchups. The only thing I wanted to touch on from last week's was, to me, the Browns and the Steelers. Like, interesting to me how Claypool, Juju, and people want to cry about how the Browns celebrated when all year long that's kind of how they've been celebrating. They've been dancing on people's logos, doing TikTok videos.
Look, if you got a problem with it, beat them, right? Like, if you got a problem with it, beat them. It's that simple.
So did you hear what Claypool said, though?
I did not.
He's like, they're just going to lose to the Chiefs next week. Like, that's a loser's mentality.
That's a very loser. Maybe that's why they lost.
Maybe that's why they lost. I mean, yeah, you're at home. They're going to be on the couch with us next week anyway. Okay. So
that's 100%.
Yeah, I'd rather lose and be home this week than play one more week and get ready for it. Come on, Claypool. Be better. You were one of my favorite receivers up until that point.
And I don't know how they fell apart the way they did. They didn't look prepared.
Cleveland didn't even have a head coach.
And
like, let's bring that back up again. They didn't practice that way. Like, you gotta be the.
They just want. I mean, they wanted it more. I mean, that's a saying that people say. That typically, I'm like, come on, you both want it.
It's how you come into though. Like, I mean, Steelers had won one game in their past 5 games, and after being undefeated, they limped into the playoffs. And for some reason,
the crazy part is they could have beat them the week before.
They could have.
And kept them out of the playoffs.
They could have.
That's a lesson for you. Always go hard.
And when they rested their players, like, I understand resting your players. Like, and sometimes you lose, sometimes you win. People are going to talk about, oh, you did the right thing or wrong thing based off the results. But I thought it was the wrong thing in the moment because they were coming in.
You needed momentum.
Yeah, they were losing all those games.
It's not like they've been rolling, and it's like, okay, now we're going to, if the Chiefs had sat, which they did, right, that's a different story.
Yeah. But not only because they had it locked up, like even if the Chiefs sat, but they were on fire and they couldn't win the first seed, but they had the second seed locked. Like, I get it. Sit your players and rest them when you can, give them a break. But when they're not playing well, you better get that figured out before the playoffs.
Yeah. And I don't know where their running game went. That was the biggest mystery of the season for me.
James Conner?
Period. Like, they were effective the first 4 or 5 weeks, and then after that, they fell off a cliff.
Okay. So this week's matchups. It's okay. It's all part of the pod. Don't worry. No hard feelings. 6-6-1. I'm going to put that person on blast. Colts versus Bills this week. Who are you taking? What are you excited about to see in that game?
Hold on. Colts already played the Bills, and the Bills won.
Colts played the Colts played
the Bills,
and the Bills won.
Yeah.
Do I have last week's games on here?
You do.
We might have to edit this part out. I don't think so though. Let's see.
Remember
Colts played the other team.
Colts played the Bills.
Did they? Let's see. NFL.
The Titans played the Ravens, so the Bills played the Ravens. And the Colts and the Colts played the Browns.
Ravens won. Ravens played the Titans.
Yeah, I know. So Ravens played the Bills.
Shoot, they might have played. Ravens played the Bills.
Yeah.
Where would I be without you today? Just
know.
An average dude looking to get carried to podcast fame by you.
Okay, so Bills play the Ravens.
Bills play the Ravens. Let's go off that.
I know everybody's going to say the Ravens. They're rolling. Lamar Jackson, he's proven himself, whatever. I am on the Josh Allen Hill. We talked about this previously. You guys didn't hear this because on the pod. I truly believe that Josh Allen, and I said this, that he's in that upper echelon. He's the Aaron Rodgers, the Patrick Mahomes, the Russell Wilson. Right?
You said there were 4 quarterbacks, and he's
one of them.
You know where Russell Wilson's at?
At home.
I mean, so it just takes one bad game, right?
Yeah, it happens to everybody.
It happens to everybody.
Right? I mean,
my argument is it might happen to him this week.
It happened to Patrick Mahomes.
It's happened quite a few times this year.
In the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Right? He threw 2 picks. I mean, I'm a big Patrick Mahomes guy, but that throw to Tyreek Hill, everybody talks about how great it was. I was all, was really.
You got some really good athletes
catching the ball. He was sitting there waiting for it,
So you're taking the Bills.
I am.
Do you expect a good game or no?
Heck yeah, I expect a really good game, but I expect Josh Allen to use his legs a little bit more.
Okay. And the Ravens-Titans game was the biggest game I was about last week. Like, I was super excited. I know both those teams want to run the ball. It was going to be a grinded-out game, and it was. And the Ravens pulled it out. This week, Bills are a throwing team, though.
Yeah.
So Ravens can't get behind if they want to have a chance.
But they've never been able to get behind. As long as Lamar Jackson has been the quarterback, they've won when they're ahead. The second that they're 10 or more points behind, they always lose.
And that's what I'm saying. So when it's a running game, you're not like you're never too far behind because it's a running game. This week it's a throwing game. So, but I like their defense a lot, and I think that's going to be the separating factor. I'll take the Ravens, Marlon Humphrey and company before I take the Bills guys. And but Josh Allen can sling it.
I'm a believer in Josh Allen and Diggs.
All in.
I'm all in on that.
And that's one thing me and Kevin would always talk about too. Who's the better quarterback? All right, that's the team I'm picking. And I mean, playoff time, no better time to do that. If Allen is the better quarterback, which I agree also, I don't think Lamar's too far down. So I'll take Lamar.
I think there's a big gap. And I want to go to that Ravens thing where they're down and they lose, right? And then they get away from the running. I think that's the dumbest thing in football. The only time you get away from running is when you're in the fourth quarter and you're down by a bunch. If you're down by 10 points in the second quarter, why would you get away from doing what got you there? Right? If you're down by 10 points in the third quarter, why would you get away from doing what you
Fourth quarter is when you got to change up.
That's where what's happened historically is they get down by 14 points in the first quarter, and now they want to throw. And it's like, all right, well, now you're going to be down 21 points.
And not just them. Titans do that.
Everybody does that, though.
Running teams, they get panicked a little too early.
It is my biggest pet peeve as a football watcher and a football coach is when a coach says we're throwing away what got us there, and we're going to start doing this thing that we're not good at.
As a football watcher. Eddie is a football watcher, all right? If you didn't know, you know. Rams-Packers. Actually, let's save that for the last. I'll let you build for the Rams-Packers. All right, I'll let you build to that. Let's go Browns-Chiefs. Chiefs, what do you expect from that game? Do you expect Browns to maybe keep it close? Odell Beckham today said, don't be surprised when they win.
Don't be surprised when Baker Mayfield throws 2 picks.
2, that's it?
2 picks.
That's probably
one of them for a pick 6. Don't be surprised when the Chiefs come out and they score a couple touchdowns and then they get away from their running game, which got them there, and they try to lean on Baker Mayfield, and that's what does them in. Because that's what I think is going to happen.
And if you think about it, once they lost Odell, and they've actually played better without Odell, but once they lost Odell, they have Landry and –
well, that's a misconception. They have played better without Odell, but it's because their game script changed once Odell went out.
Yeah, and I'm just saying as far as, like, what scares you on the field, it should be more scary with Odell on the field, and now they're a better pass team now. So,
can I talk about that?
You should.
The reason that they're a better pass team is because Stefanski, if you remember he was with the Vikings, they ran the hell out of the ball, and Kirk Cousins would play action, right?
And that's what they're doing now.
And that's what they're doing, and they're getting Mayfield out.
On the naked boots.
Exactly, right? And so I think if Odell was there, I would like their chances a little bit better.
And we kind of just touched on it, right? When those running teams get behind, they start throwing too soon. You're going to basically be playing from behind with the Chiefs.
The only reason you are successful, Ravens, Browns, and Tannehill, the Titans, the only reason you are successful in the pass game is because people respect your run game. When you take your run game away, your pass game sucks.
Your pass game sucks. Buccaneers, Saints. Are you excited? Or are you like Father Time, the game that Father Time forgot about? Tom Brady and Drew Brees limping in.
Brady's still Brady in my opinion, right? He's still able to be Brady. Brees is not Brees. And that's okay because now he has a guy that had the worst defense in the NFL for like 5 or 6 years, now has maybe the best defense left in the playoffs And so
Kamara, Tommy, he still has weapons too. So
I mean, there's nothing wrong with his pass game is a run game. So we talk about how the Titans can run the ball and the Ravens can run the ball. The Saints probably do that better than anybody because a 5-yard hitch or a quick out is just the same as a run.
And that swing to the running back.
That's the same thing, right? I imagine, though, that when you play a team 3 times, it's hard to beat them 3 times. And that's always been my biggest thing, and that's why I'm taking the Bucs. It's hard to beat a team.
Are the Saints 2-0 on them this year?
Mm-hmm. It's hard to beat a team a 3rd time.
And it's kind of hard to beat Brady in the playoffs. I don't know if people know that yet. I think Chris Young learned about it last week.
Yes, they are. The only thing is they are at home, but the crowd's not there, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
The Saints are at home, but it doesn't matter.
So you would take the Bucs this week?
Reluctantly, I would.
Yeah, that'd probably be the game where I'm not putting the most money on.
Yeah,
I would probably take the Bucs. I would take the Bucs also, but I'm not going to be surprised when the Saints win.
No.
So that's that one. This game, you know what? These are some fun matchups. Other than the Chiefs, who I think should handle the Browns pretty easy, I think all these teams match up well, and it could go either way. Rams, Packers. How do you feel about that one?
So I'm a Packer fan.
He's a Packer fan. Cheesehead right here.
I have such anxiety every week. It doesn't matter. Even when they didn't play, I had anxiety because I didn't know who they were going to play, right? Because if the Seahawks win, then they end up playing the Bucs, and the Bucs kick the crap out of us this year. And so I'm worried. I hate teams that have a good pass rush, right? And I hate teams that can run the ball. 2 things that the Rams can do. And so if the Rams are smart, right, they run the hell out of the ball and kill the clock, and then they just rush for it. And then they let Ramsey and Devontae have his little battle and take away everybody else. And honestly,
so with Ramsey, do you double Devontae Adams, or do you let Ramsey go?
Let Ramsey do his thing.
How do you think that plays out?
Well, I mean, if Ramsey plays it right, if you get beat on a double move in single coverage, you're hoping that those 4 can get to him, right? Because
double moves take a little more time.
Take a little more time, right? It's just Ramsey's so good, Devontae's so good. That's really going to
be a fun matchup,
right? It's like who wins this battle. And our left tackle's out, so who's the best? Arguably the best left tackle in football. He's a 3-year All-Pro.
And it's funny. Tough. It's what I think it comes down to, Devontae versus Jalen, because you talk about the Rams' run game. Mm-hmm. Well, the Packers have been playing really stout D lately. Maybe not all year long. Yeah. But towards the back half of the year, their defense got even better, and it's stopping the run. And, I mean, the Rams are inconsistent at running the ball. I mean, there's been weeks where they look like a team, but then there's some weeks where it's like, who the heck is their running back? Like,
yeah, well, I think McVay gets caught up a little. I love McVay as an offense coordinator. Mm-hmm. His inside zone, outside zone, play action.
He runs a couple of plays, couple of formations.
Play action. Yep. If you can take away that outside zone, which he loves to run, you're doing something. But the Packers just have to score a quick couple, and then we're in business.
And I think it comes down to that defensive matchup. First off, if you go one-on-one versus Adams, I think you're in a really good spot against the Packers.
If Ramsey's able to take Devontae Adams out of the game completely, then the Packers are going to be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, and the defense just against – I mean, you talk about that front 4. Mm-hmm. The Rams' defense has to come up big in this game. Not the offense. The defense has to play – because the offense is going to be the Rams' offense. We know what Jared Goff is. We know what they are.
They score a couple touchdowns and kick 4 field goals, they're probably doing well.
Yeah.
Right.
And so you got to just hope the defense holds up because they probably should.
And I'm hoping they don't, obviously.
I love that defense. I mean, Aaron Donald, arguably the best D lineman this year, every year. Jalen Ramsey, arguably the best corner every year this year.
My only hope is that Aaron Rodgers starts targeting the tight end and the running backs out the backfield more. Right? Focus on them. If they're going to take Devontae away, take him away.
Just take the check routes.
Just take the check routes and keep the ball in your hands. You're the best in the red zone.
Okay, not really on the script, but like a lot of coaching hirings going on right now, coaching interviews. Urban Meyer just got the head coach of Jaguars. Yep. We anticipate Trevor Lawrence is going there.
He's a very calculated guy.
Oh, super smart. He knows what he's doing. I saw someone say –
Trevor Lawrence going over there? Yeah.
I saw someone say he'll be out in 2 years. No, he won't.
They don't know Urban Meyer then.
And they don't understand
everything he's ever touched is turned.
Jaguars were already like, hey, if you're bad for the culture, we're going to get you out. Like Fournette, bye. Like we'll take James Robinson. James Robinson seems like a guy who's just going to work. Mm-hmm. Trevor Lawrence is a guy who's just going to work when he gets there. They got so much to build still, but that's why they're not saying, hey, win next year, Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
So I think they're in a really good spot. That was a great hire, I thought. He's going to get his pick of like people he gets to coach with.
My only thing is, he left Ohio because of health reasons, right?
His mental health reasons, right?
Well, I think it had to do with his heart.
Oh,
and so when you have that going on, that's a little bit. That's the only concern that I would have of anything. But that guy, I mean, I go to coaching clinics and all this other stuff. I sit and watch him for like 5 minutes on that whatever the TV broadcast. He teaches so much. He breaks down inside zone and outside zone. He breaks down RPO really well. Like
So he's a great football mind. I also think he's a great character, which is what Tim Tebow talks about him all the time from when you coached him. And like, you have to have something that stands out in the coach. Like Pete Carroll is a player's guy. Like people love him because of his energy, because I'm going to set up a slam dunk tournament. Like he does stuff that the players are going to love. Bill Belichick, his thing is I'm super meticulous. I'm super on point. I'm super hyper focused on football. Urban Meyer is a guy who's going to bring in this kind of culture where it's like, hey, family, God, and then football. And I think once he gets his guys that buy into that, it's going to be a good program.
I'll tell you what, that's tough though, because
you got grown men.
And everybody's there for different reasons. Everybody in the NFL is motivated by different reasons, right? You got some people that are motivated by money. You got some being motivated by fame. You got some people that are motivated by being the best, right? Which is great. You want that. You got some people that want the team. It's going to be tough.
It takes time.
I hope he's successful, but this isn't the college game, and you can't.
I get that, and I feel like that's the knock on college coaches a lot, but people are motivated by different stuff. But when you're like, hey, this is what it is. Look at Bill Belichick. Gronkowski, like people were motivated by different stuff, but he's like, this is how we're playing New England football.
Yeah.
So buy in or get out. Like, and he shipped a lot of people.
As long as his best players are on board for that, he can do that.
But that's what he's going to have, right?
Yeah.
James Robinson's going to be a worker. Trevor Lawrence is going to come in and be the same kind of guy. I think they'll build a good little thing there with him. Really happy, really funny. The Eagles are trying to they requested to interview Kellen Moore as their head coach. Dallas Cowboys.
Talk about a dumb fire. Peterson's going to get a job somewhere. He's a good coach.
Creative.
You had one losing season where your team was ravaged with injuries. Why does Mike McCarthy get a pass, but Peterson doesn't?
And so you can really tell a lot about a coach by just how they're play calling stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes Doug Peterson got stagnant this year, but a lot of times I like what I see when he like just the play call. Maybe not like they had no receivers. Like Deshaun Jackson was still arguably their best receiver, and that's sad.
Dude, that's my whole thing is the GM let the coach down.
I agree.
And, that's fine. I hope that – he's going to land somewhere.
And
Someone's
so
gonna give him a shot.
Kellen Moore, I've never liked since day one. He came in his first year before he started as our offensive coordinator. He got hired like at the end of the year. So he coached the Pro Bowl game with Jason Garrett. The Pro Bowl game where you have the best players on planet Earth. And on top of that, the rules are like, hey, we're going to kind of like, here's your press move.
Yeah, of course.
Like no one's trying.
No one's trying to get hurt.
Dude, oh my gosh. We had like NFC, because I think he's coaching the NFC. I think it was still NFC, AFC. Had like no yards, had no points. And I'm just like,
he hasn't proven anything.
He's not creative. He's not any of that. So
I don't know how that works. Like you got Peterson out there. You've got the guy from the Chiefs that's great. You've got the Rams D coordinator. You got all these guys that are great candidates, and you're going to pick a guy that just came from a 5 and whatever team.
Whew. And and the offense, So that's that. I was really happy when I got that news. I'm like, bye, get him out. The Cowboys just hired a defensive coordinator. It was Atlanta Falcons Dan
He's
Quinn.
not a bad.
Just hey, stay in your lane, coach defense. He coaches really well defense when he's in Seattle.
Yeah, for sure. The defense did play better when he left, but I think that's just because when you get coaching changes and you get fresh blood, people just get more
stuff happens in the locker room.
It's less stagnant.
I agree. So I just wanted to touch on the coaching stuff. Lots of coaching carousel going on right now. It's fun. The Niners defensive coordinator, who would be like my number one choice for any coaching spot right now, he just flew out for a second interview in New York Jets. So should be fun. It's still going. Bringing us into college football, the national.
Before we go college, can I bring up one thing?
You can, man. You don't even have to ask.
Where's Deshaun Watson going to go?
He's not going anywhere.
You don't think so?
The NFL is not like the NBA. You could one out, but guess what? Sorry, buddy. We're going to try to fix this. We can fix it with money. When's the last time a quarterback won it out and got out?
I don't
Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins isn't Deshaun Watson.
You're right.
You don't trade a Deshaun Watson. You just like, I'm going to write it out.
I will say this, though. We are in a different social climate where they can apply pressure in ways that they've never been able to.
Until I see it, though. I get it. Because the NBA doesn't like crazy.
Let's just play the hypothetical game. Where would you like to see Deshaun Watson?
49ers, maybe?
That was my thought.
Okay.
They have the most they can give up, right? In terms of we actually have good players. How about Eric Armstead so we can match up contracts and Garoppolo and a couple firsts? That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot. But you got a D line already.
I didn't really my 49ers just off the top. Like I feel like he could be successful there. I feel like John Lynch is an active GM. So he might be the one picking up that phone right now. That was just the first thing that comes to mind. They have some receivers.
I mean, they said Miami, right? They said whatever. They said, and Miami makes sense. Oh, we can give you 2. We'll give you your pick back at number 3. We'll give you next year's pick, and we'll give you your second rounder that we took from you.
They also spoke about Deshaun Watson not being happy that a black head coach wasn't interviewed for the position.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's part of the
Miami has a black head coach, so
I could see that.
Do you trade Tua though? Like, I mean, like
hell yeah.
Well, I mean, I would.
Hell yeah.
But you just drafted the guy. And
it doesn't matter.
All right.
You get a top 5, top 6 quarterback, whatever. I mean, you can argue that.
Yeah, I get it.
I would take the top. There are 4 guys I would 100% take before him, but I think he's number 5 for me. But still, I mean, I think you trade what you have to trade to get a guy like that.
Yeah, and I don't know until we see it. I don't know what you can trade to get him. Like. Because I haven't seen a team be like, we'll give you 2 firsts. It doesn't happen in the NFL. So we'll see. You'll even see it with running backs. They'll be like, hey, just give us a 7. And they're like, no, we'll just wait till you cut the guy, like Leonard Fournette this year. And they cut him because they could not find anybody to trade with.
Running backs are different, though.
I get it.
Yeah.
And quarterbacks are even more important. That's why I feel like he won't be traded. Ready to jump into the national championship game? For me, it won't take long because, oh my gosh, Bama ran through Ohio State. I get it. Like the first series, it might have even been the first play.
Fields was he was dinged up from that last.
Fields was dinged up. Sermon got hurt on the first carry or whatever it was, but realistically, that Bama offense is oh my gosh.
Well, Saban said it this year because they talked about his recruiting, right, and they talked about his adjustments that he went from a powerhouse defense to now powerhouse offense. And he said the rules dictate offense is the way to go. You don't want if you're going to focus on something, you're going to focus on offense. And that's even happened in the NFL. We always said defense wins championships. That's not true anymore. Defense doesn't win championships.
And, I mean, if you think of that recruiting class, so this group that won it, this national championship game, Mac Jones, Devonta Smith, those 2 were recruited at the same time as Jerry Jeudy. The receiver that was banged up and he tried to play, and everyone was like, why are you playing him? Waddle, I think his last name is. Henry Ruggs. That. Yes, he had a mind. He had an idea a while back, and now it's coming to fruition. Where we're gonna see Alabama looking like an offense.
Well, and what's wild is he's had since 2011. He's had 9 different offensive coordinators.
Wow,
play for him.
That makes sense.
So it's like he's got. I mean, you've had the conversation about how good he is, right, compared to other people. I think he's in a class of his own.
Wait, who?
Me and you had a conversation about Saban. We talked about Saban and other coaches, but my thing is how he's just molded his team to he's fit whatever's come.
Yeah, and that was actually an interesting conversation that went on in the text feed of our group chat where it came up like Coach K or Nick Saban, and because realistically you can't compare Nick Saban to another college football coach.
I don't think
you have to jump around in a sport, and Eddie's argument was it doesn't matter. What Coach K has not been as successful. I had to bring in Olympic championships, but realistically, I could have coached those teams for Team USA. It's like, hey, LeBron, go to you. Throw it alley-oop to.
Well, and I think I said easy, Saban, but I mean it's conversation. I just think you have to do. It's so much harder to win in football, in my opinion, than it is in basketball. Actually, I take that back.
Yeah, I think the opposite.
Because the madness changes everything, right? Like March Madness. But to keep a team, right? To keep a dynasty, I think it's harder in football because you have so much more moving parts.
A lot more turnover.
People.
Guys gone in 2 years.
That's why you've seen less dynasties in football than you have in basketball. You know?
And I mean, it was just a fun conversation to have, but realistically, we weren't even going to talk about Ohio State Bama here because that game
wasn't even worth
over at the coin flip.
But I think you do have something that's important to talk about, which is
the same conversation, same light. NCAA football. Is Trevor Lawrence the best college football player to never win the Heisman? We posted this on our Instagram account. We had some people saying a couple names. Peyton Manning got brought up more than once.
Like in terms of maybe we look at it now, but in terms of actual
I think that's how some
college
people were
players, right? Look at your college, like as
who was the guy that shocked you when you were watching the season? You're like, this guy is the Heisman, like he's winning it, and then at the end of the year, it's like, what? He didn't win it? Who was that guy for you?
Honestly, you know what? I mean, I think it's Vince Young.
Why is it Vince Young? So I had a feeling you might go Vince Young.
Well, because
Vince Young.
Who was Vince Young's running back? Who was his receivers?
Was it Cedric Benson or no?
Who was his receivers? Right, but you can name all the guys at USC, and they gave it to Reggie Bush, a running back who played in the Pac-12, didn't play against and I love the Pac-10 at the time. I'm always rooting for the Pac-12. Mm-hmm. I want somebody to come out. I don't care who it is, to come and challenge them for the national championship.
You got it.
But you had Vince Young, who was doing his best Superman and leading arguably the best or second best team in the nation. He wasn't leaning on anyone else. It was him with his arm and with his feet. And so I thought it was a slam dunk. He's going to win that thing.
Throughout the year, you thought that? Mm-hmm. Okay, so my problem is, and I'm not a big college football watcher, especially back then.
But we watched it because of USC.
And I watched, and
that was why.
I saw USC. So you know what I mean? Like all year long, like I saw Reggie Bush doing stuff that looked like a video game. And then you see, like I saw Vince Young in the championship game, but before that, I might have saw a game, but I didn't know who Vince Young was before that game.
Really?
And all of a sudden, he was this guy where it's like, how did I not know who Vince Young was? This guy just killed SC single-handedly, like you said. And I guess they would have had to been the number 2 seed. Mm-hmm. So obviously he earned something, but I didn't know who Vince Young was.
But I mean, you had Lindell White in the backfield.
I get it. No, SC was sacked.
Like,
so Vince Young would have been your person who never won the Heisman, who should have. Hold on to your britches. Because when I watched Adrian Peterson play football for Oklahoma
during the same time period,
I think it was right before or right after. It was in the same year.
06.
It was in the same time. But Adrian Peterson as a freshman, I remember watching him get the ball and just be like, he's going to run around you. If you get in front of him, he's going to run over you. Like he was the most dynamic running back I've ever seen.
From the time we were kids, let's say junior high and on, he's probably the best running back we've seen.
And it translates to NFL too. And so that's what's crazy. But in college, he was even more unstoppable. And freshman year that he didn't get it. And all the talk was, oh, well, freshmen never get it. You know, he'll probably get it next year. And then sophomore year, he didn't get it. I'm just like, he deserved it both years. Like this guy, go back and watch it. Oh my gosh, Oklahoma tape. So even in Minnesota, dude was a beast. But watch him in Oklahoma. Every play is a highlight.
Well, I mean, but think about who he was going up against. He was going up against Reggie.
Texas.
He was going up against Liner.
I get it.
Like in terms of the guys that won.
To me, he was more.
But Jason White won one of the years. I think his freshman year, Jason White won, and then Liner won, and then Reggie Bush won.
AP was better than all of them in college. And that's my argument.
And I think Vince Young was better than all of them in terms of performance-wise.
I'll take AP.
Because you can put AP on any team, they're not going to win a national championship.
On a team. The Heisman's different, though. I don't know if the Heisman is necessarily about being.
You're right, and I like that about the Heisman.
Heisman's
about that a receiver just won.
Heisman, yeah, exactly.
Heisman's never going to get that in the NFL.
Heisman's like this guy was exactly MVP in the NFL. You have to translate wins. You have to translate all this other stuff.
That's true.
Like you said, a receiver's never going to win the most valuable player in the NFL. But we saw it in the Heisman because this guy was unstoppable all year long. That's what AP was to me.
Yeah,
at a running back spot, and so
last running back to win MVP in the NFL.
Yes, exactly. I thought Henry had a chance this year, but
it's hard for me to. But
he has a chance. But I mean, realistically, the quarterbacks were so good this year too. Their wins translated a little more, I think. Jump into basketball because this is
my favorite conversation.
Oh, this is kind of the reason why I was like, Jan, we got to have this podcast today. Like, I know you don't feel good, but let me get Eddie on because in a week this won't be news. But Brooklyn got James Harden. I know there were other pieces that moved too, but realistically, the headliner was James Harden goes to Brooklyn to pair with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. How do you feel about that? Like, what does this do for the league? What does this do for Brooklyn?
I mean, this is why we like the NBA, right?
Yes.
Because they do stuff like this. I mean, we talk about NBA 2K. This is NBA 2K. They move pieces around. It is so much fun, so entertaining. but I have a very strong opinion about it. Lakers are so damn good. They're probably going to make it to the finals.
You're making all the LA people who watch.
They're probably going to make it to the finals. Well, I'm a Laker hater.
I hate the Lakers.
They're probably going to make it to the finals. They're not beating the Lakers. If Wade, Bosh, and LeBron can't mesh in that first year, and you got three selfless guys, and they get beat by Dallas, right?
Were they selfless? LeBron got kind of mad and stood in the corner for a lot of that game where they finally got kicked out because it wasn't going his way. I mean, I don't know if they were selfless yet. I think they
stood in the corner because he was scared. That's different.
Watch it and then listen to some of the conversations because some of the conversations were that LeBron was like standing there like this, like pissed off.
With the Mavericks?
Yes.
Okay.
And so, this was
I thought he was just being soft.
This was that last game of it. So I mean, that whole conference, that whole series was kind of bad for LeBron and his.
Yeah, well, Jason Terry was getting under his skin. They
exactly.
have JJ Barea on him.
But
disrespect.
That last game, by the end of it, Dwayne Wade would be bringing the ball up, and LeBron would just be standing there like this, pissed, like not even pretending like he was going to be part of the play.
But my point is, right? You have three guys who have all been disgruntled.
Is Kyrie retired? Is he still on that team?
I don't know, dude.
Like
I would have felt better if they would have flipped, if they would have took Kyrie, sent him over to the Rockets, and then kept Karis LeVert. That would have been a better team.
And so that was the argument's sake. Like he brought up 2K. You can't make this trade on 2K. 2K would be like, nah, it doesn't work. We don't accept this trade. But in real life, the NBA does trades where you're just like, oh my gosh, like Deshaun Watson, you might be on Texans forever because the NFL doesn't work like the NBA. But the NBA, Harden's like, I'm going to come in fat. I'm going to go to a couple strip clubs.
Do whatever I want. You're going to trade me.
I'm going to talk bad about my team. You're going to trade me. And they did. And Kyrie's like, you know what? They marched on Capitol Hill. I'm not going to say why I'm not going to show up to games anymore. I'm just not going to show up for – it's been 2 weeks.
Here's the thing.
Or a week and a half or something.
Everything I've read, winners, losers of this trade. They're talking about the Rockets are losers? Hell no.
You don't think so?
Okay, are the Boston Celtics losers in the trade that they made with KG and Pierce? They always say you got to get the best player in the trade. They didn't get any damn players coming back. Here's the thing.
Okay, hold on. Just real quick before you get too far off that. KG and Pierce, I feel like
they were old. I get it.
They both had 2 years left.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Harden, Durant, and Irving are young, but they still got 5, 6, 7, 8 years left in the league. Like Durant,
but is it with the Nets?
And that's the question.
That's my thing. If you're dealing with the Steph Currys of the world, right? Then yes, you're gonna or the Klay Thompsons. I know they're on the same team, but then you're going to say, okay, I feel confident these guys are going to be with me in 4 or 5 years. So those picks that I'm giving up over the next 6 years, I'm not tripping because they're going to be late in the draft. But when you're dealing with 3 guys, one of which who may retire this year, the other one,
Irving.
Yes, the other one, who knows what his body's going to be like in 4 years. Like truly, you're 31 years old. Yeah. I'm 30. He's 30. What's Harden? 31, 32?
Sure. Okay, here's my counter to that. I think they will be with the Nets because Harden, Durant already have that relationship.
Okay.
Durant, Irving, and DeAndre Jordan, they all wanted to be like they were planning this since Team USA.
Westbrook and Harden both talked about we've been friends since LA and we've been friends since blah blah blah. How did that turn out?
They never threw each other under the bus, though. I don't think. Like
I get that.
So they're still in sync. It was just
didn't work out though.
I mean, they shipped Russ and then and not that that's what got Harden out the door, but I mean, that's probably the final straw that broke the camel's back.
I think it was done last playoffs. My point is, and we got video recording of this. Rockets will make out in this trade like bandits.
Hey, we got video recording of this if it records, if we don't have a third mess up.
True.
It might just be you that's bad.
Might be.
But yeah, we'll see if the Rockets make out like bandits. A lot of times I feel like
you're talking about 6 years from now.
Yeah, I get it.
6 years.
I get it. We'll see what they do the first couple. We'll see what the GM does with it, right? Because I'm looking at the team right now, and I don't think they make the playoffs. The Rockets. They got Boogie, they got John Wall, they got Gordon.
They weren't winning a championship with Harden anyway.
They weren't. And you know what's crazy?
That's my whole thing.
As bad as Harden was playing, like you look at him at fantasy and like you're like, I'd still take that guy because those are his worst games he could possibly have.
He got a 38 though. Against me, I was pretty happy about that.
I know, but I'll take it. Like I mean, if 38 is the worst he could do,
He's going to ball out. He's going to ball out with the Nets. There's no doubt. But I don't pick them win the championship. They just gave away their 2 best young assets. Now, Dinwiddie will come back next year, and that will be interesting.
Okay. So, I mean, the Brooklyn trade, that was all the hype.
Well, do you think Oladipo's going to do anything with the Rockets? Or do you think that's just that?
Oladipo's been disgruntled, and I love Oladipo. He was originally an Orlando Magic, so I love the guy. But he was unhappy in Orlando, and then he went to
OKC. He was happy, but nobody's happy with Russell Westbrook.
So he was unhappy, but he was unhappy there.
But he wasn't unhappy. He never said he was unhappy.
Oh, I thought he did.
No.
Okay, and then eventually he was unhappy with the Pacers and wanted to trade.
Because he didn't get a contract extension.
I mean,
you'd be unhappy too.
I just want Oladipo to work out. And, like, it seemed like when he was in a good situation, it's like, dude, just figure it out. Like, you're in a good situation. You're the guy on that team with Sabonis. And
yeah, but Brogdon's better than him. So, I get it.
I get it.
Brogdon's underrated, by the way.
Yeah, and I think Oladipo at times is underrated if he's in the right situation. I think he was.
I just care for fantasy purposes. He's at 41 points for me. I need him to be at 51.
That's all that matters. Yeah, I like him. I think going to Houston helps him. I don't
dislike the Rockets. I don't dislike the Rockets. I don't think that they're this trash lottery team that everybody thinks they are. I think they're an 8th or 9th seed.
I think they're a 9th or 10th seed, and to me, there's a big difference between 8th, 9th, or 9th, 10th. 8th, if you're in that,
who's ahead of
them?
Obviously the Lakers.
I think I would take Golden State before them. And that's going to be that other team that's in that 8th or 9th spot. And, like,
I mean, Portland's there, but they're probably a little
Lakers, Portland, Clippers, who are Denver who's going to be in before them.
Maybe Dallas.
I think Dallas will be in before them.
I always thought Dallas was going to be good.
So that's 5 that I don't even have to think about. You're going to have Phoenix Suns. You're going to have.
Okay, stop there. I think all of them, yes. After that, you're going to have some questions. I don't think Utah's better than them.
But Utah always gets in the playoffs. I think Utah's going to get in before them.
I mean, because of what's going on, but I think towards the end of the year, they'll be a better team.
Okay. Chips?
Sure.
Chips. All right. Cool. I gave up hot chips, though. All right. That was a lot of basketball, more than we usually do on the Average Guys show.
I would talk about basketball all day.
I would too, but, average dudes, there's compromises. Which teammate would you not – this is jumping into a little bit of the fun.
This is not some –
It came up. And I was going to ask Jen. Okay, hold on, man. Can I ask the question first?
Go ahead.
Which teammate would you not want to date your sister? Which teammate would you want to date your sister?
You not date my sister.
That's messed up. I would like to know why.
That's the truth.
I would like to know why.
Do you want me to put you out on Front Street?
I mean, that's what the show is about. It's about being honest.
You all know why we would let Kyle date our sister.
Okay, my pick was Ryan Reyes. I mean,
I knew you were going there, so I had to pick you. We don't have the same person.
That's why you picked me? You know what? Eddie got biggest flirt at East High. Maybe I should pick Eddie.
Maybe you should.
But luckily,
I didn't flirt when I was with the girl, though, ever.
Okay. And so this question was going to be posed to Jan.
You know I didn't want to ask this question.
I know, but Jan, I was going to ask Janet because, like, there were a lot of degenerates on that team.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, Mike might look like a
saint. You said teammates, period? Like,
no. I meant our year.
Okay.
Because Jan, it's
because I was like, bro, I put all of class of 2007 up there.
Yeah,
no offense,
there's
guys.
some bad
Jeff
ones.
McDonald, you could probably date my sister, though.
And that's what I was going to say. So if it was Jan's class.
Jake Lanier's probably in it. I mean.
So that's where I wanted to get to with our class. Our class, we had so many great people. We had Jake Lanier.
Josh Crew's a great guy.
I'd be like, go for it. Torres Dillard. Like,
great
it
guy.
Was hard for me to find some. I don't even think Ryan Reyes played football with us junior or senior year. So I had to search for someone. Like, I was like, Darren Woolley. And Eddie's like, Darren's not bad. And I'm like, I know, but we didn't have bad guys. Like, we had great guys.
Darren just got a lot of girls. No offense.
And Jake Lanier, like, phenomenal. You go ahead, date my sister. Torres Dillard, I'd be like, go for it, man. Like, we had so many good
Sammy
people.
Grijalva, I'd be cool with.
Even Andrew
He's a great guy.
Even Andrew
And not
Yasami.
that we're saying even. We love you guys, but
yeah, I'm just saying, like, obviously, like, I'd probably rather have Jacob or Torres. I think they're the echelon of, like, people who I would be like, I don't even have to have that conversation with. Hey, like,
for sure,
you're my boy, but I'd be like, hey, Eddie, man, just make
I've never cheated on a girl in my life.
I'm not saying you did.
Never talked to.
I'm not saying you did. I would just be like, Eddie, treat her right. But with Torres and Jacob, I don't even think I'd have to say that. Like, in high school.
I hear you.
I don't know what they are now, what they're up to now, but in high school, I'd just be like, they'd be like, can I please date your sister? I'd be like, yeah, man, go for it. And that's saying something because no one ever wants someone to date their sister. But yeah, that's what I had. Torres Dillard, Jake Lanier. Oh, but Andre Smith. So Andre Smith would have been my one who I'm like, go. Like, that would have been my pick to date my sister. And then Taurus and Jake would have been my runners up. See, I did look at the notes.
I love Andre.
I think Andre was a great guy. I think if Andre was at the house, I'd enjoy kicking it with him. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, other stuff factored into it being Andre. Andre was just always, like, one of the sweetest guys. I get Jacob, Lanier, and Taurus, and those aren't wrong answers. My pick would have been Andre.
Jake's probably mine.
And that's a smart pick. And I'm your not date your sister. Thanks, man.
And I think you wouldn't let you date your sister.
No, heck no. High school me? No. Now, your sister
That's a different
your
story.
sister would be lucky. Any of your sisters. But, yeah. Yeah. High school Kyle, no. In closing, unless there was anything else you wanted to touch on, talk about. So in closing, I thought I'd just end it with a joke. It's going to kind of be our new thing.
Okay.
So I told Jan a joke last week. This week I'll tell you a joke. That's hilarious.
There it is. There's the joke.
Oh, and so, we didn't have the set today, so I tried to create a little makeshift. We got the hat, got a couple of stuff. We got Eddie's snacks. Because when you come on the show, you get some snacks. But you ready for the joke?
Mm-hmm.
How do
I
you
have to laugh?
You're probably gonna laugh.
Okay, go for it.
How do you catch a unique? Actually, hold on. Here's the challenge. Keep a straight face.
Okay, well, I can't now.
No, you have to. Okay. Before we get to the joke, that reminds me of being in Coach Dean's classroom for health.
Oh, so much fun.
Right before we started, like, one of the videos, it was like the McDonald's video where, like, everyone's obese and everything. Coach Dean did one of those things where he's like, all right, we're going to watch this video. I need you guys to be serious and don't laugh. Once you said that, it's impossible not to laugh. All right, so go ahead and try not to laugh at this joke. How do you catch a unique rabbit?
How do you catch a unique rabbit? If I answered it, would you be pissed?
Because I've told you this one before.
Go for it.
Have I told you before?
Maybe.
Unique up on it. How do you catch a tame rabbit?
I don't know.
Tame way, unique up on it.
That's pretty good.
Thanks, man. It's a two-parter. All right, guys, we hope you enjoyed this emergency podcast. We're not calling it episode 9 because episode 9 is with my actual co-host.
I don't deserve it.
It's with my actual co-host and not.
That's why you'll never date my sister.
Well, hey, there's a couple of reasons why I'll never date your sister. I mean, I love you. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the emergency episode. Catch you on the flippity flop.